I'm Zibby Owens, and this is Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books. As a mom of 4 kids in New York City and a writer myself, I know all too well how short everyone is on time, so I'm here to help. I'm going to interview authors and writers of all types about their work, especially as it relates to parenting and family issues. Hopefully you can listen while doing 8 million other things and fall in love with these talented scribes and their fantastic books, essays, and songs like I have. Plus get some tips on surviving parenthood. For more about me, you can check out my essays at zibbyowens.com. Please don't forget to subscribe to Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books. Subscribe. And if you can, please leave a 5-star rating or a comment. Today's episode has been sponsored by Babo Botanicals. Babo Botanicals offers your family non-toxic and pure hair, skin, and sun solutions created with natural or organic solutions. Their tagline is, "Family comes first naturally." As an aside, I use Babo for literally all my kids' shampoos, body washes, sun lotions, and even for me too. So definitely check them out at babobotanicals.com, B-A-B-O, botanicals.com. I'm here today with Dylan Lauren. Dylan is the CEO and founder of Dylan's Candy Bar, the giant candy emporium. The Dylan's Candy Bar store in New York City alone is 15,000 square feet and 3 stories and gets 2 million visits a year. Dylan has opened more than 20 locations in airports to freestanding stores. She's launched a lifestyle brand with apparel, cosmetics, home design, strollers, and more. In fact, Dylan's Candy Bar just had a super fun Sweet 16 party to celebrate being in business for 16 years. She recently starred in the TV reality competition show The Toy Box, which, by the way, my kids were obsessed with and watched like every single time. And last but not least, she has written a book, which is why she's here today, called Dylan's Candy Bar, Unwrap Your Sweet Life. A graduate of Duke University, Dylan and her husband live in New York City with their 3-year-old twins, who she calls her Twinkies. So welcome to Dylan.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So I watched your CBS interview from this Valentine's Day and heard that you wrote your entire book while on your BlackBerry on a step mill at the gym. Is that really true?
First of all, I love the BlackBerry, and I hope it stays around forever because it's super easy to type on. And yes, I tend to love this. It's the stair mill or the step mill. It's 3 rotating steps that you feel like you're hiking, but you don't have to be in the wilderness to, so I'm on my BlackBerry and I can sort of focus more somehow on work than I can just sitting at a desk. And I wrote my whole book on that. And, somehow when I'm exercising, whether it's on the stair mill or running, good thoughts come to mind more so than, trying hard to get something out. And that was the best method for me. Plus, it was a great aerobic exercise because I didn't, I used my arms too. I didn't just hold on. So it was good.
And how did the idea for the book come about?
Well, I have retail stores, and I felt like, that's one way of getting people to see this retail-tainment fantasy land that I, always enjoy. But my mission is to merge fashion, art, and pop culture with candy, and I felt that the book would allow me to show that, like showing, art made out of candy, gifts, made out of candy, celebrating holidays with tabletops that you set with candy, centerpieces of candy, Fashion Week with dresses made out of candy. And, in the store, I can't always, it's Easter, it's Christmas, it's Halloween, it's ever changing. But, we take a photo of that and it's not great and it's not as easy to capture. So I wanted a medium where I could really show a beautiful photo of what was in my head or a beautiful display shot by a professional that was like a, coffee table keeper's sake.
The photography is insane. It's amazing in this book. It's hard to not be happy looking through this book.
Yeah, it's funny. I when I was thinking of doing this book, some book companies were like, oh no, it should be more of just like a beach read. And I was like, that's so not what this is. This is about how I see candy and how I want the world to like really be enveloped in the colors of candy, and it has to be a coffee table book. And with the book industry and some struggles of the scale of coffee table books, the cost of photography, that was like a sort of bone of contention firstly. But after presenting these beautiful photos, which people don't usually see candy, I guess, the way I see it, and they were like, oh my God, this is an art book. It's not just a read about candy and like living a sweet life, about happiness. It's really about beauty and aesthetics of confections.
Yeah, you say in the book a lot that candy for you is like art. It's a true visual medium, and how that has been running in your family forever. And can you tell me more about that and how you see it more as an art form?
Yeah, I'm flipping through the book now. There's a hardcover available too.
I have that too.
Okay,
I have that
make
too.
sure I give you
I
one.
have both. No, I have both.
No, I look at these candies and I hand selected, probably 500 candies in this book from every season over, out of like 7,000 candies from around the world that I thought represented the beauty of candy. Because when you look at the saturated colors, you look at the translucency of a gummy candy or the patterns on a Starlight Mint or a Unicorn Pop or a Whirly Pop. I mean, they're really beautiful. And for me, it really excites me when I see them. Like, I think, most people when they look at like a red juicy apple or red piece of steak or red gummy candy, it has the color really can move you. And I see that in candy. It's like art. And when, we assemble different candies together, they pop off each other. And to me, that's what the art is. It's the creation and the assembly too.
And you had said in the book that one influence had been seeing all the different fabrics growing up.
Oh yeah,
and having them.
Yeah, so my dad, Ralph Lauren, definitely inspired me, to appreciate color and design. And I think I said it's synesthesia, where I looked at the fabrics in his jars of, they had these. Actually, they were like candy jars of fabric, and I wanted to eat them. I thought it was candy. I've looked at beads, and I thought they were candy. I see color, and I just think it's so beautiful. And, I think just being in a fashion family with a lot of people, like my grandfather was an artist, my cousin's an artist, my dad is a designer, my brother's a filmmaker. I mean, everybody's in the arts. So, and my mom does photography. It all sort of made me very tuned in to candy and its beauty.
So I didn't realize until I read your book that the original launch of Dylan's Candy Bar was right after 9/11. And in the book, you say you debated not even opening the store because, as you said, I'm going to quote here: New Yorkers who had lost someone in the towers came up to me in tears, saying, "Thank you for creating such a happy haven." You obviously went ahead and did the launch. Can you tell me more about the stress of that time, the decision making?
Right. Well, I think actually to I don't know what I forgot what I wrote, but it wasn't that I didn't think I should open the store. It was more that I wasn't sure if all of a sudden, it was September 11th. We were supposed to open literally September 13th, and I wasn't sure if that was appropriate. It's like, why of all times to open a candy store? It sounds so kind of frivolous, like candy, whatever. So we opened in October, which was a better time. I mean, because you start paying rent and everything. But I also knew that, that was a time where people were looking for something, an escape. And so it was a very depressing time, as you know, like people were getting out of the city. No one was coming to the city. People were it was just terrible. And then when I think about it, I do think that what I noticed with opening around that time was there was a need for new, exciting, happy things and nostalgic things, and things that were like that in New York were the things that kept people going. And I felt like our store quickly became a tourist attraction because of that, because it's a happy escape. And I still get that to this day. People come in from the hospital nearby, or people come from Make-A-Wish, or, they're just brought in for all different reasons. And they're like, I just want to sit in your store. I want to listen to them candy songs. I want to look at them. I'm not even going to eat the candy. It's really just about the environment. So I feel good about that. So.
You say in your book, to what you were just saying, wouldn't it be wonderful to be a kid forever, to just live in the moment, every moment, to not think about work or worries or cavities or calories or cavities?
Yes.
Well, eating candy can help you do that. If you're depressed, bored, frustrated, or frazzled, I swear it is the savior and an antidote to what ails you. And then you said, for me, candy provides a magical escape back to my past, back to a simpler time when life was all sweet and stress-free.
Totally.
So does this always work for you? Do you turn to candy yourself in times, this sort of nostalgia vibe going back?
It's funny. I feel like what I wrote there has been true my whole life. I think I've been really into gumballs lately, and one of my first forays into candy stores was going to a gumball machine outside the store and trying to get the red gumball, and my recent like enjoyment of gumballs has been like this sort of nostalgic feeling of how excited I was to get the red one, how sweet it was, like chewing on it, like alleviated some stress, and it does now. And I was recently thinking about that. Same with circus peanuts, the marshmallowy ones. Lately, that's been my thing, and it's subconscious, some of it, and some of it is just like. I just know, like, I love, like, it is obviously sugar high, but it's more than that. It's like, I am immediately taken back to a time. I'm not like a lollipop person, but, if I smell a grape, lollipop, I think of like my first candy at the doctor's office, and that kind of was not a great thing. But and I'll have a Tootsie Roll, and I'll think of like my best times at camp when like Candy Canteen, and that was that. So it does, like, it's a weird sort of subconscious thing that kind of in my adult life gets me through.
Has there been a time that you can remember where you were just too upset that candy didn't help you at all?
Definitely. Sometimes when someone passes away and you just can't eat, and you have no appetite. Or if, there have been times I've eaten way too much candy and I don't feel good, so everything in moderation.
Do you think that consumers' interest in candy and sort of visiting your store is this hope for regression? Do you think that feeling more like a kid helps people confront life today? Like, do you think that helps?
Well, I think there's many reasons people like Dylan's Candy Bar. And it's not just about the candy. I mean, we're selling sort of lifestyle products. Right. So I think it's the enjoyment, first and foremost, of color. Whether it's the candy patterns on the clothing we sell or the candy jewelry. It's the music. We pay over 200 songs from I Want Candy to, Candy Shop to, so people feel like they're in a good mood. There's candy smells in there that are nostalgic. So I think it's all the senses are awoken, and there's not a lot of retail stores that do that. They're all slat wall. We have you're surrounded by giant lollipop trees and candy cane columns. So it's like being immersed in an environment that transports you, which I always loved Disneyland for doing. But, there's a lot of candy stores that do nothing for me, and I'm not even hungry when I walk in. So it's that. I do think the childhood memories is something that people from around the world can relate to. But I also think just as an adult, our average customer's in their late 30s. It's not really, there are people who just still love candy. Like, they have a sweet tooth. And then there's the people who love salty things. So we have something for them, and people who love, we also serve food in our cafe, and we serve candy cocktails. And so it's sort of just...
And the ice cream is, like, amazing.
Thank you. So there's something for everyone, and it's just, I think it's about the happy... we get the woman, who can normally wear her fur coat, who walk in, in her jeans and be like, I just want some gummy bears. Like, brings out that in people.
So I know you get asked this all the time, how you stay so trim despite your obsession with candy. And I know you're a huge workout addict.
Yes.
I remember one time we did the water
aerobics.
Oh,
yeah. Aqua jogging. Totally.
Exactly. So tell me about, if you don't mind, your workout routine now,
Sure.
or how you feel that offsets, your eating in moderation.
Well, the irony is that as much as I love candy, I have tons of books on nutrition, and I also wanted to be a gym instructor. When I graduated, I got my certificate to teach classes because I was very big into sports, and I love athletics. So, I have a lot of energy, and so naturally, I do like to work out. It's an outlet for me, as much as it is to burn calories from eating things. So my routine is, I'd say I try to do running, which I think is really good, the stair mill, spin classes, boxing, those kind of things, maybe 3 to 4 times a week. And what I don't like as much, but I definitely do, is weight training about 3 times a week. So I noticed that weight training, as much as it's not really, that's more for me knowing that in my future I need my muscle tone for, women and the bones. And I know it's really important. But I also find that has been really good with, getting rid of water retention, whatever. So that would be my workout routine. I definitely eat really healthy. I don't like, I don't like complicated food. I like very simple, very healthy vegetables and salads and protein. And I know that when I eat candy, it's not like I used to literally eat like just candy, but I know I have to have the balance, especially protein, knowing that the candy is the carbohydrates. So that ratio has to be right. And I think your blood sugar can spike if you don't have, the healthy, salmon with the good fats and the good protein and the salad, and then, candy in moderation. But I don't believe in all or nothing. It's never worked for me. So, I think it's just got to pick your favorite things and pick your dates when, whether it's like a handful here or there on the weekends, whatever it is. But the all or nothing, unless it's like, something really, if you shouldn't have sugar, you shouldn't have nuts, like that's a different story. Right, but,
So how do you, I know this sounds like one of these cliche questions, how do you balance it all? Ugh. But really, like, do you have anything that particularly helps you get through, the fact that you're managing this growing empire, basically, of retailtainment, your twins, your workouts, how,
Right. I think that's the question I have, and I think your podcast actually is something I'm excited to listen to more because it's really just learning from other people who are not working. I think it's women who work, who have a passion for something, who also, we're trying to balance it all. I mean, we have kids, I have my dog, I have my husband, I have my own family who I'm close with, a lot of responsibilities. And, I think it's really hard. I don't know. I think it's a challenge that if you care a lot, then you can't really... I'm looking at a journal you have. It says, "Hold on, let me overthink this." It's hilarious. That's the story of my life, And it's great to have a partner, my husband, who's a little more like, don't overthink things, Go with your emotion and then, schedule it. And luckily, being an entrepreneur, I can schedule my time so that I make sure I get my really quality time in with him, my husband, my dog, who's my other child, my kids, my own family. So that's something I like. But yeah, it's really hard. And I think, I really love what I do. So it's not like I'm just doing this because it's my hobby. Like I've always collected candy on my travels. I go into my stores and there's tons of stress that comes with it. And it's, that's with every job. But it's my core passion is the designing and being in the stores. I mean, the managing of people is definitely hard. But working out for me is a great outlet. Traveling, being in nature, which is something I think really key. I'm starting to learn more about where I should be. I don't spend enough time in nature being in New York and running from, one store to another store. And also, I did take up transcendental meditation, which has helped. But it's like I think it's really just quality time and trying to focus where you're focusing and just knowing like you're not. It's like 80-20 rule.
The Overthink It book that I got, I am like. I feel like particularly with logistics, I don't know if that's one of your big issues. For me, the management of like, I'm going to go to this birthday party and then who's going to take this kid? Who can pick up this kid if I'm going to go to this birthday party? And like,
well, you are very inspiring to me. I have always looked at you as being, so no, I seriously, I mean, I only have 2 kids, and they're the same age.
There is no only.
Well, it's hard, but you're very organized. I think what I'm learning to be more tech savvy with spreadsheets and there's some apps with calendars. I mean, I don't really use them, but spreadsheets help me a lot with work and some of my own personal stuff. But yeah, I think everyone has a system, but it's kind of like what I'm even doing this weekend is stepping back because I now have to, my kids are now going to the next school, not the playgroup, not the playgroup anymore. And, it's like the new year for me, even though we're all out of school, I want to think of the summer and the new school year as a new year for me. So really sitting back and saying, what works for me? Should my weekends be when I'm in nature or should they be when I'm in the city or should it be when I'm taking my kids to a class or like what is it that makes me happy and when do I have the energy for that and when am I pushing myself? Like really thinking about it, versus just going in every week like you with a chicken with their head cut off, which is like what happens.
You just described that was me, like the chicken.
I can show you. Someone sent me like one of those memes of Kermit the Frog with their head spinning, and I was like, oh my god. I think everybody, no matter what if they work or don't work, they have a phase where it gets really hectic.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't believe I made it through phases like moving apartments. Like that was one. Yeah. See that?
That's so funny.
Like every phase, you're like, how did I get through it? So I don't know. Massage helps too.
I like that, the key point that I just took away from that is you're saying, like, just be more deliberate about it. Like, think it through. Like, analyze it and then do it. Because it's so easy just to, like, flow into another weekend. Like, should we go see Peppa Pig or not? Versus, like, what is going to actually make all of us happy?
Yes. And it's funny, like, for me, like, some things that don't make me happy are, like, I'm waking up way too early just to get a workout class. And I'm like, do I really have to work out first thing in the morning? Like, I want to work out. I know it's good for me. But, like, can I do it later in the day? And how does that affect it? Versus going through every week, like, in the book,
That's awesome. Will you tell me a little more? I know you have all these passions with your nonprofits too, and animals, and your love of bunnies.
Yes, you remember my bunnies.
So, can you tell me a little more about that?
Sure. So when I was younger, I had 2 pet bunnies, Chocolate and Vanilla, who you know about, and I also currently still have a collection of over 3,000 rabbit stuffed animals. I have a passion for rabbits and always animals. I now, have a dog who's 6 years old, who's a rescue from Puerto Rico through a shelter, MCSPCA, named Jersey. And, in the process of adopting Jersey and through my love of animals and through just understanding that having something bigger than just you or your business, I wanted to start a foundation that I personally was passionate about. My parents are very philanthropic and, they have causes, but they also love animals. And so for me, I started Dylan's Candy Barn, which is my company's foundation and my foundation, really with the focus to change the stigma of, adopting a pet versus going to a pet store or breeder, because I've done a lot of research on it. The animals that are adopted are really of the same caliber. If anything, I do believe people who have adopted do see that the dog is very grateful. There's like something very special about it. So it's to get these dogs out of shelters and into homes, and also to get rid of the abuse of animals and there's a lot of countries that do not believe that, dogs are pets. They shoot them. And Jersey came from a country that actually was abusive to animals. They don't spay or neuter, so there's an overpopulation, and then literally kids are throwing rocks at them. They think they're... Awful. So Dylan's Candy Barn is something I'm strongly passionate about. So we have partnered with Humane Society, ASPCA, Best Friends, and so throughout our stores we are doing adoption events where we'll have about 25 dogs or cats or rabbits lined up. With the shelter, so people can actually play with the animals. They don't have to go to a shelter, which some people don't feel comfortable doing, and they can adopt on the spot. And we're doing something, in Chicago with Paws, where that was our we had like 40 dogs adopted literally that day. You can take them home, and these shelters are just amazing, and it's just a great feeling. So I feel strongly about it. So
it's so great. It's so great you're doing that. So what is coming next for you? I know you're expanding the candy bar. You keep going into all these different areas and merchandise, and it's what's next?
We just launched 2 things. We launched a baby collection with Aiden and Anae, which is like muslins with candy patterns, which literally is coming out now. And we just launched, it's actually coming out soon, Williams Sonoma dinnerware party. You would like it, actually, like cake stands. Awesome. So those two partnerships, we have coming out a partnership with Greece for their, I guess, 40th anniversary. I'm trying to think. And so it's always like pop culture.
You have the Mean Girls line now?
Yes, Mean Girls. We had actually out a few years ago. We relaunched it because of the play. So, you could buy a Caltine bar, or on Wednesdays we wear pink clothing. So there's those items and partnerships. And then there is, in our chocolate, we are launching a very high-end collection called Gold Collection for really, chocolate real connoisseurs. And for people who are health conscious, we have a very healthy treat yourself collection, which is somewhat vegan, nut-free, allergen-free candies, which we sell to Whole Foods, and it's been extremely successful, so we're doing that. In terms of stores, we are reopening East Hampton for the summer, which has great ice cream and just great candy, and we're opening hopefully Hawaii, Dubai, and I'm looking at London. Those are like the focuses. And then there's always we're on the lookout for flagships in major cities where, like San Francisco, we still don't have a store. Smaller cities like Boston. We don't want to be all over the country. We want to be in select cosmopolitan areas with a lot of foot traffic. And then I'm also just doing, just other projects. Like I would like to come out with a different book, which we could talk about. And, I've been approached to do several big picture projects that, are sort of in the works. But it keeps me busy and I can't remember what else we're doing. I mean, those are big.
I think that's enough. How you keep it all straight. It's really impressive. It's impressive.
Thank you. But it's funny. Like honestly, like you probably with writing and the podcast. Like it's sort of to me the outlet from my real life. Like if I'm designing a store and literally taking and saying, should I put candy cane columns on this fixture or lollipop columns or jelly beans? Like it's so fun. It's like my form of art. So I don't think it's work sometimes, which is good.
I was talking to my mom yesterday, and I was sort of upset. This week it's just been particularly difficult. And she's like, "Well, do you think this is the wrong time to maybe be doing a podcast and trying to write a book and all this stuff?"
Yeah.
And I wanted to say, like, that is what's getting me through this time. That's not making this time hard. Like, it's hard having 4 kids and all the different issues that come with it. But writing for me and candy and color and all this for you, like. People, if you have an outlet or exercise or whatever, I think, being too in it, you just need some sort of escape.
Totally. And I can't, honestly, this weather, I mean, I literally can only count 3 days that it was good this spring.
I know. I'm like, I can't even face it. I can't.
I don't think anyone's been in a good mood, so you're not alone. And I am, on the other thing, I do love astrology and, that kind of outer world thinking. And I do believe, like, there's an energy. It's not just about politics or your personal thing. I think there's so many people are saying the same thing about certain times of year that you're not alone and you should feel better.
Thank you.
Yeah. So.
Well, Dylan, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're so busy, so
no, thank
it's so
you.
sweet to get a chance to talk to you in this format. And
yeah, that was fun.
Oh, good. Okay, thanks so much. Just a reminder that today's episode has been sponsored by Babo Botanicals, BABO Botanicals, all natural skin and hair and sun products for moms and kids. Please subscribe to Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books, and if you can, leave a 5-star rating or a comment. Thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye.